This
Hi,
conference will now be recorded.
I'm Keshav. I'm a Python developer. I have 10 plus years of experience in coding. We always learn coding by doing. Hence, in this session, I'm going to teach you some hands-on experience on writing Python programs. First, we'll discuss what is Python. Then we'll discuss some of the programs. Then we'll look at the course curriculum. Thank you. First, let us understand what is Python. Python is a general purpose and high level programming language. With the help of Python, we can develop desktop and web applications. Also, we can use part of developing complex scientific and numeric applications. In today's world, wherever you go, everyone are looking for Python developers. Python is being used part of full stack engineering. Python is being used part of DevOps. Python is being used part of data scientists, part of machine learning, part of artificial intelligence, and many more. Python is developed by Guido van Rossum. First version was released in 1991, and as you all are aware of it, Python is world's fastest growing programming language. It's open source. We can download it freely and use it freely. On my operating system, I have downloaded Python from official website, python.org. From this website, I have downloaded Python software on my operating system.
This
Here is
conference will
official.
now be recorded.
I have downloaded Python from official website called python.org. This is official website. And from here, if you download Python software, it is called CPython. And part of downloads, you have various options based on your operating systems. On my Mac operating system, let me verify which version of Python is installed. On my Mac, I'm launching a terminal. Here, I will check the version of Python with the help of commands. Python space hyphen hyphen version. Here we go. Python 3.6.0 is available, and this is called CPython. On my Mac operating system, apart from this software, I have installed some of the IDE tools, integrated development environment tools such as PyCharm, Anaconda. Here we go. This is a PyCharm. With the help of terminal, I can write my first program, or with the help of a notepad called Sublime, I can write my first program, or with the help of an IDE called PyCharm, I can write my first program. First, let us execute with the help of a shell environment called a command prompt. Let's execute in terms of interactive way of programming. Python space enter. We are navigated to the terminal. Here we go. And the version is 3.6.0. Let us execute our first code over here. First name is the name of the variable, and which is called left operand. After equal sign, I'm using quotes, wherein I can use single quotes or double quotes. Here I would like to go with the single quotes. And part of single quotes, I would like to write a value, which is called string value. Guido. Middle name. Left operand is called variable name, and right operand is called value. Second variable I have written, which is called middle underscore name. It has a value called var, and here I'm using double quotes. And this is called the third variable, which is called last name, and this kind of variable is called as camel case syntax, camel case style, and name of the variable is called last name. It has a value called van Rossum. Here I'm using single triples, and these variables we should call part of print function. We have to execute them. So with the help of a built-in function called print, we can call a variable called first name, and then I can hit enter. Here we go. The similar way I can call all of these three variables. Print is a built-in function, and part of print function we call a variable, then it prints the value. Part of interactive web scripting, interactive web programming. Without print function, I can call variables. First name, middle underscore name, wherein the similar format is not available part of scripting web programming. I created a variables, I called with the help of print function, and now I called with variables without print function. If I want to come out from here, exit function need to be executed. The similar way of programming I'm going to do with the help of PyCharm or with the help of Sublime, a text editor. So this, what I can do is using a text editor, I can write my first line, which is called shebang hash not slash usr slash bin slash python. This not mandatory to use, but it's optional. And this is called hash, not symbol is called shebang, and slash usr slash bin slash python is called where Python is installed on our operating system. It's like absolute path. It's not mandatory, it's optional. Let me reuse the code. Rather, I use call copy. I'm reusing the code. I have created a variable called first name, and the second variable, let me reuse it, middle name, and the last name. So three variables we have created, and these three variables, if I access similar way, the way I access part of interactive way, without calling print function, if I access variable, it throws an exception. So whenever we go with the scripting way, we are supposed to use function called print function. Let's say, for example, I'm calling, and this is called, let me say, I'm using comment, single line comment, creating variables in Python. Three variables have created, and these three variables we would like to call part of print function. Accessing variables in Python. Before I access print function, I would like to access normally first name, middle underscore name, and last name. Save this code. We have to save this file. Let us save first Python code or file, and we are supposed to save .py extension. See, I have not saved in py extension, it is just displaying here. Now I would like to save as wantedly I did that. Let me use a different name. Let's say Python first file .py extension. The moment I saved the file in .py extension, color of the code has been saved. It changed, and you can see the symbol of the file, which is called Python. Now this file I can execute with the help of terminal. The terminal, which is a available part of operating system, I can execute it here. But I have to navigate to desktop environment. Go to desktop, check what you have here. Then with the help of keyword called Python space file name, Python underscore first file .py. It is not printing anything because we are supposed to call a built-in function called print. Inside the print function, if I call variables, then it executes. So I just removed the variables, but wherein part of interactive way of programming, you can call directly variable names without print function. But if you want to call, if you want to print anything part of scripting way of coding, then you have to use print function. Rather I type, I'm reusing the code. Here we go. Three variables, and I'm calling part of print function. and I saved the file, and I'm going to the interactive way of programming shell. Part of shell, I'm checking where am I, part of desktop, and again I'm cross checking what all I have here, and the file which need to be executed is python underscore first file.py. This need to be executed with the help of python keyword, then space file name. Here we go. Here we have the output. So in this, what we have understood is there are two different way of programming. One is interactive way of programming, or called interactive way of scripting. The other one is scripting way of programming. Interactive way of programming, or scripting way of programming. This we understood now. Now let's use PyCharm, an IDE. And IDE always contains various plugins, packages, which are related to a specific programming language. So before we start opening a file, let's create a project, part of PyCharm. I'm creating a first project, part of PyCharm. And using this PyCharm, even we can interact with version control systems. And an IDE contains various built-in functionalities. That's fine. Let's move further, creating our first project. I'm writing first Python project, and this is part of username, and here is a folder. In this folder, whatever the file we write, and we can execute with the help of whether 2.7 version, whether 2.6 version, whether 3.6, or only 3.3. So you have to select which version you would like to go. Let's go with the 3.6.x. Save the code, save the project name, click on create. I'm just creating a project, part of PyCharm. Being a developer, we are supposed to use an IDE. Part of an IDE, we have various IDEs like VSTS, VS Code, PyCharm, Anaconda. There are many. So one of the IDE we are using PyCharm. When I say community, it's open source. So this is our PyCharm IDE. Here it is open. This is our project. And let's write our first program. Right click and create a new file. Still it is loading. PyCharm always take a little time because it will have various plugins. So hence it needs some time to load it. So let this come up. Until then, what I'll do, I would like to reuse this code, part of PyCharm. Here we go. Right click, open a new file. Still it is loading. Still PyCharm is loading. Until then, what I will do, I will just go back to my code again. I hope you're clear with this. First line is not mandatory, it's optional, and this line is called shebang. And then I created here comment. It's like information I'm giving. Then here we created three variables, and three are string data types, and these variables we are accessing with the help of print function. We created the similar way, part of interactive way of programming. This is called interactive way of programming, from year to year. And the same thing I demonstrated part of scripting way. This is called scripting way. The scripting way we are doing part of an IDE called PyCharm. PyCharm is loading now. Yes, it is. Now create a first file, variables .py. Here I'm not giving .py because the file itself is open .py extension. So I just given a name called variables. Hit enter. It opens a new file. Here we go. Rather I type it, I would like to reuse the code, and here we go. So we have a shebang line, and along with the absolute path of where Python is installed on our operating system. Here is called single line comment. Again, here it is called single line comment. we have created three variables, and three variables created, and the data type is string, and that also you can verify whether it is a string, whether it's a different data type for list or tuple. You can verify with the help of built-in functions. Now I would like to save this code. Go to run button, select the file, and execute part of PyCharm. Here we go. Here is output. So this is the beauty of an IDE. So you can create a project in a structured way, and you can write your code in the same panel, and once it is done you can execute it. You can see the output over here. Whenever you would like to execute command line tools, then you can go with the terminal. There is an option called terminal. Here you can execute OS commands. Apart from this, there are many integrations here. One of the integration is version control system. Let's say, for example, if your code is part of GitHub or Mercury or Subversion or GitLab, you can connect them from here directly. So if you're coding locally, that code is synchronized to your version control system. Now I would like to check what type of data type it is. With the help of print function, I'm calling a variable. First, I'm calling another built-in function called type. Inside the type function, I'm calling first variable. First name is one of the variable. Save the code. The similar way, I would like to call another variable called middle underscore name inside type function. Third variable, part of print function, I'm calling it built inside the type function. Last name. So three variables were called part of type function. Type function will help us to understand data type. See, all these three variables are string data type. And you can find out the memory location as well with the help of another built-in function called id. Call the variable name part of print function inside the id function. Id of middle name, similar with last variable, print of id of last name. Save the code and click on play button. Here we go. Here are the values. They are belongs to class called string data type and their memory location. This is our first program in Python, and we have used a OS terminal, and here we have executed interactive way of programming. The similar example we have looked at part of a notepad, and which is called scripting way of doing. The third one is using an IDE, which is called a third-party tool, and a tool will always have various integrations, various plugins in it. And here you can create a project. It's like a structured way of doing it, and you can execute it. You can write your code, modify your code, and you can integrate with various version control systems. There are many advantages. One of the advantages I just explained here. Now, if you are, for example, the other thing, wherever you go, you were asked to buy, do you know cloud environment? Yes, everywhere they are using cloud, maybe Azure cloud, maybe AWS cloud. Part of AWS or Azure, you are supposed to develop applications. So that can be achieved if you are aware of basic and advanced programming. For example, this is my Azure cloud. Here I have a shell environment, and I'm launching my shell terminal. Then I'll start doing my first programming the way I did it part of my operating system. First, we have to verify whether Python is installed or not. Yes, Python 3.5.2 is installed by default, part of Azure cloud. So I can execute Python space enter. Now I am part of interactive web programming. I will create first variable called name, and it has a value called Guido van Rossum.
This conference will now be recorded.
Here I created a variable called name, and it has a value called Guido van Rossum, and I want to access a variable. If I want to access a variable part of interactive web programming, I no need to use a built-in function called print. I can directly call a variable name. Here we go. If you call part of print function, you will get the same output. That's the beauty of interactive way of programming. If you want to check type of variable, call variable name part of built-in function called type id. If you want to come out from here, exit. This functionality is not available part of AWS cloud. There is no console over here, but you have to launch Lambda, or you have to launch a EC2 instance, then you can start coding it. Yeah, these are the things in terms of the way we use. Yep, each and every session is explained part of Mac operating system, part of Windows, and in between we are using AWS and Azure cloud. Let me explain what are the topics I'm going to cover here. So throughout our session, we are going to discuss, these are the topics. First one is, let me write down so that it will be easy for you to sum it up. First and foremost thing, software development lifecycle, which is called Agile. Second one is DevOps. What is DevOps? And as a Python developer, what are we are going to use, where we are. Then third one will be a cloud, basics of cloud, how to create account and how to use uh, Python part of cloud environment. Then we'll be discussing about OS basics. We have various operating systems which are like Unix, Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. Once we cover these topics, then we'll be looking into programming. First part is basic programming, part of basics. Then first we'll be discussing about data types. Next, part of data types, again, it has other things, like for example, inside the data types we'll be discussing about numbers, strings, list, tuples, dictionaries. The last one is sets. Apart from this, we will be discussing about string special operators. I mean, inside that strings, it will come various other topics. I just let me highlight it what all we are going to cover here. So first thing is, I hope you understood SDLC, part of SDLC Agile. Next will be DevOps, then cloud, part of cloud 2 environments will be covering, then basic commands of OS commands, then basic programming. Part of basic data types is first segment. Second segment is, we are going to discuss about operators, then functions, conditional statements, loops, OOPS concept, object-oriented programming, then regex, regular expressions, exception handling, then we'll be moving to the advanced topics. Part of advanced topics, we'll be discussing about modules. Various modules will be covered. Then we'll be discussing about file and directory management. Once it is done, then we'll be switching to date and time modules. In order to interact with the databases, database module will be explained. And through our using our code, we can send emails, then which is called SMTP module. SMTP topic will be explained in detail. And if you want to develop and deploy a web applications using Python, which is called CGI, Common Gateway Interface, and creating GUI applications, reading XML and JSON files. Finally, we'll be discussing about web application development or website development. Web development, let's say I will call it as. web development. Part of that, using Django, we will be creating our web application, website, web application, or you can call it as website. So these are the topics we are going to discuss throughout our session. Each and every topic will be explained in theoretical, practical, and part of various environments like Mac, Windows, on Linux, part of AWS cloud, part of Azure cloud. Part of this will be using various DevOps tools, and will be using a board which is called Trello board according to the agile way of working. So these are the topics I'm going to cover. I hope you are clear with today's session, and if you have any queries, concerns, feel free to let me know. And thank you so much for attending this session. Have a wonderful day.